video games are for nerds. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about them. That's why you're listening to The Week in Gaming, the only gaming podcast that breaks down the last 7 days and tears games apart from the inside. Ugh. So forget your worries, open your ears, and join Simon Miller and a co-host for the entertainment chatter you need. Also, screw Dark Souls.
Hello and welcome to The Week in Gaming, your weekly gaming podcast that gives you, a load of gaming news. It's all about video games in case you didn't get it from the title. My name is Simon Miller. As always, I'm joined by my main man, Sam Bishop. How you doing today, Sam?
Doing very well, very well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good. Although, as we were just saying, it's a dead week in video games. Without wanting to, when you tune into a podcast, you want to be excited. You want to think, oh, what are we going to talk about today? Look, we got stuff to talk about. But my word, are we in a creative lull when it comes to the gaming industry? I don't know what we're waiting for, but no one's doing anything.
Well, I guess I get a few things next month, like Days Gone and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe it kicks back off in April. How is it March already? I don't want to sound like an old dude, but I thought this the other day. It's not even like early March. It's like the 11th of March. I was like, how is it the 11th of March? We just had the New Year a second ago.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
it's
what do you
just
do?
Crazy.
We're going to talk some news, but I thought we'd start off with games we've been playing, mostly because, no one's been playing any new games. As we mentioned last week, haven't been playing Devil May Cry, but it's been smashing it, sold well. Even the Capcom devs came out and said they feel like they're back on track, which we said last week as well. I think that's absolutely true. But quite interesting, Sam, you said you've been playing Overwatch. Now, Overwatch has become, well, for me anyway, I'm not happy to be corrected by this, but as somebody that, I played a little bit of Overwatch when it came out to see what all the fuss was about. But it has become one of those games. To me, it's like Fortnite, but it's not as talked about as Fortnite. And what I mean by that is, the way that it has a very, very sort of hardcore fan base. It kind of acts as it's not really a game, so to speak. It's more sort of a hub that people join, and it's been going on for ages now. It just ticks away in the background, probably making loads of money for Valve, and no one even says anything. Not Valve, sorry, Blizzard, and no one ever says anything.
Probably not making Valve a whole lot.
Well, maybe on Steam, but it just ticks along as they do with all their games. They just kind of come up with an idea, they unleash it into the wild, they continually update it, they find a fan base, and that's it. We go from day to day.
Yeah, I think part of the reason of that is just Fortnite is it's just literally you jump into it, and if you know how to shoot a gun, you can play the Fortnite, right? But it's Overwatch it requires a bit more dedication, in the sense that you need a team composition, you need to know how to play your roles, and if you really want to get good, you need to be in a 6-man team, and then you really need to know the maps and stuff. It's a lot more hardcore than people give it credit for. Because obviously it's got a nice shine of paint and it's very inclusive and it's very colourful. But underneath, mechanically, there's a lot to be working under the hood. Whereas I'm not saying Fortnite's simple, but I think its core foundation is a lot simpler. In terms of you just need to be shooting until you survive, really. That's no slight on Fortnite, but I think it's just a sort of explanation as to why Fortnite has taken off a little bit more. Because if you look at the numbers, I think Fortnite is obviously way above anything like Overwatch. But like you say, Overwatch is solid. It's been flat and good for a while now. It's released in 2016?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's still strong. It's not dropping off or anything. It's still absolutely strong. And I've just been getting back into it just because, those games where you put it down and then the person you were playing with doesn't play anymore, so you sort of leave it. But then you find someone else who has played it, and then you jump back in, and then you're like, oh shit, yeah, this is why I enjoyed that. So yeah, I've been doing that a little bit. My hero pool is really small. So everyone's like, can you play something else? I'm just like, no, I have this one hero that I'm good at, so I'm going to be playing them. And you could change.
That's the thing though, isn't it? It's so focused on classes and who you're going to play as, who you're not going to play as, I think that's what you mean, isn't it, when you say about you can't just jump in. There is a real learning curve, and especially if you want to sort of have a successful team, you've got to balance it out. And I always used to jump in as whoever I wanted, but you could tell straight away how a team sort of wasn't gelling with you if you weren't giving them what they need, or everybody had too many of the same character. You completely can upend the game for yourself.
Yeah, it's I think a better way to describe it is that there's more of a meta. And that's one of those wanky video game terms. But there is more of a meta in the sense that there is a balance and a very fine balance in the game. Whereas Fortnite, you don't have that as much because everyone's sort of on a level playing field. So yeah, I think it's just really good. It's really good fun. Even if you're losing, I guess it's just colourful, wacky, zany fun. It's obviously better if you can talk to your teammates, and there's a lot of like, get on the payload. I get a lot of that. But yeah, it's a great game, and I'm really, really happy to be jumping back into it, to be honest.
Who do you play as? Or
Roadhog. Roadhog's the only one.
It means nothing to me, but I thought I'd ask.
He's a guy that can hook, and that's why I like it, because it's like you have to go in and assault everyone if you're most other characters, because you have to go in there and get to them. Whereas in Roadhog, you can manage the space better because you can hook people out of zones and bring them towards you. And I like that space management side of things. And he can heal himself, so I don't have to rely on any other fucking guys. So I can heal myself. So that's great.
What would you say like an equivalent is at the moment out there to Overwatch? I mean,
I'd say Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh, would you really? Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because that composition really affects the outcome of the match. Like, you could be as good a shooter as possible, but if you have 5 random recruits and you don't have the Thermite Thatcher combo, which probably doesn't mean anything unless you play the game, like if you don't have those key characters and you don't know how to use your key characters, you can't get into the building or defend the building with shooting alone, you know?
Wasn't there another one that came out to try and still Overwatch's stand? That's what it was. I sat here looking into the distance going, what the hell was it?
Lawbreakers.
That was the other one I was going to bring up as well. I knew Lawbreakers was trying to ape something, but I couldn't remember what it was. And I said, I swear it was a hero shooter, but it'd been so long ago I couldn't remember. I thought that was all right. I thought Lawbreakers was really good. It just came too late after the fact. Like, it kind of fell into the where everybody assumed Apex Legends would be in the Battle Royale genre, but then they got that completely wrong as Apex Legends continues to go on to break records and, you know, do who knows what else.
Yeah, I know this is off topic, but I really don't understand how Lawbreakers did that badly. Like, it wasn't horrible. Like, you expect a game that does that badly to be like a bad game, but then I played it and I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, they killed the company, basically. I mean, It really did take them out. They had that last-ditch attempt to actually get them into the Battle Royale genre themselves.
Radical heights.
Absolutely. And that really was, you know, too little too late and was far too Fortnite-esque for its own good. But I was surprised that Overwatch is the one. Well, not surprised, that's what Blizzard do. But I thought maybe one, because I played Battleborn as well before it came out. There was it was a review or preview event I went for, and I played it for a good few hours. And I thought to myself, it was decent, but I wasn't really the best person to kind of come away with with an idea of it, because it's just not my genre at all. But I am surprised that Overwatch is the main one left standing. You think there would be something else, but there really is not.
I think it's an identity thing as well. If you think of hero shooters as Overwatch, right? And like, you're not going to be like, oh, what should I play? You're going to be like, I'm going to play Overwatch. That's why Battleborn, I think, sort of fell a bit flat. Because if you had the choice between the two, no matter how good Battleborn is, just because of Overwatch's reputation alone, you're going to go with that one.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Why wouldn't you? It's so true. It's like Call of Duty. If you're out there, as much as people don't like to say it, you know, Battlefield doesn't really. Well, at least the people I talk to, Battlefield doesn't have the same, the same sort of chat power as Call of Duty. And that's why most
pedigree. It's that sort of mammoth status. Like, when you think shooters, you think Call of Duty. When you think hero shooters, you think Overwatch. It's like that stamp, that ownership of the genre.
Yeah, and I think that it counts for more than maybe sometimes we realise. And I think Overwatch is absolutely sat into that thing. I can't even imagine how much money it's making them. I imagine absolutely loads. Talking of old games we're playing, I played Mario Party this week on Switch. Because I saw a friend of mine, and he's got 2 kids. And obviously, they love the Switch, because how could you not if you were that age? And they wanted to play Mario Party, so of course I joined in. It really is like, I remember a time when Mario Party was kind of crapped on by a lot of people, and maybe it did lose its way. I'm not going to sit here and profess to have played every single Mario Party, because that would be crazy. But the way that it incorporates all the sort of Switch technology, the kind of light-hearted nature on it, the variation, the mini games, there's so much to do. It's nuts. And also, it's that classic thing of when you actually see a kid playing video games, like, oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot that you can't, it's like wrestling really, you can't get too mad about all video games, because some are actually aimed at a younger demographic and they do like them as well. So to kind of shit all over them just because you're a 30-plus-year-old man is like, oh yeah, I've lost my way. But again, I don't know if they just come back to form, but I thought it was a really decent sort of family mini party game. And I can't think of anything Nintendo's done on the Switch so far that people don't like. I mean, 1-2 Switch was their attempt at a Wii Sports. I think the main problem with that is it was overpriced, because it was like 60 quid. And for a bunch of mini games where you pretend to be a cowboy or that weird marble thing, or whatever it was. I don't think that was ever going to get the audience that they expected it to for that very reason.
I don't think it got many people angry though. I think people were just like, "Yeah, it's not great."
Yeah, exactly.
Then, okay, I won't pay for it then. Fine.
Yeah, it wasn't a disaster in any sense. It was just, I guess it was just a bit. Yeah, it was just that, right? I was like, man, yeah, it's fine, okay, whatever. I'm not really that bothered. Whereas everything else, I don't know. It almost feels like if you want to play any of the quintessential versions of video games that Nintendo have made. I mean, Zelda's kind of different because, Breath of the Wild went in a brand new direction. But I think Odyssey kind of does that. Mario Party 8 Deluxe 100% does that.
Yeah.
And yeah, Mario Party, I just think it's so easy to play. And
it's just so great. It's just a self-explanatory. It's not quick either, so you don't need to be fumbling around the controls. It's just so lovely. I love it.
It is, and it takes its time to explain everything to you. There is no real punishment for losing other than kind of gloating between whoever's playing. It's accessible for all. Again, it's one of those games that I think can get lost on in the time of social media where we're all barking at everyone. And I bet it's so easy, if I look it up as I talk, I bet it's so easy to just disparage Mario Party as, oh, fucking, do you know what I mean? Shit, I don't care. But actually, when you sit down and play it, you think, you know what? It's not the best game I've ever played, but it's really well put together for what it's meant to be.
Yeah, I just wish there was more maps. That's my biggest criticism. There's like 3 maps, I think, and I wish there was just a little bit more. That's the only thing I'd say about it.
Yeah, it kind of felt like they were potentially planning to, I don't know, release more content for it. I don't know. You're right, it does. But what is there? It is really, really decent. Actually,
but then again, you do have actually hundreds of mini games. Hundreds of mini games.
Yeah, I mean that is the thing. Like, even if you do one map, especially if you do that one when you're rowing down a waterfall or whatever.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, the amount of sort of different things that it throws at you, and the variation too. Like, it never really repeats itself, and the way it continually comes up, and this is why you can, obviously it's always the way when it's made by Nintendo, but the innovative ways it comes up with how to use the Switch.
Yeah.
I tell you, it really makes you smile. You think, again, it's not going to change the world, but it's look, without wanting to be like a cliche, it is a great party game. I think it's probably the best one. The last good one I can remember, or at least heard about, was the one on the GameCube, which was good. And arguably, it could be the best one yet, if I'm utterly honest. Again, I don't like making that claim because I haven't played them all. But I certainly was far more impressed than I would have been otherwise. And I think the thing for me is I walked away going, man, the Switch is good. I haven't heard of one disaster on the Switch so far. I'm not saying that everything is great, but there hasn't been one like, oh, that's a pile of wank, especially from Nintendo. I don't know. I think they're smashing it right now.
Yeah, I think so too. And I love the at the end of the match, just throw some nonsense out there. You got the biggest loser award. Have a star. And it's like, what?
Yeah,
you've worked all this time, and then you get some nonsense gets given out. It's like, I've lost actually. Oh, good.
I will say that the way it tallies up stuff, you're like, I don't know how you came to that conclusion, but cool. Yeah. I'll take it. If that's the way you want to go, that's the way you want to go. The cool thing is, well, you can go from like weird sort of mini platforming games to rhythm action, to a puzzle, to a quiz. It's all over. Like, it never ever stops coming up with ideas and concepts, and I don't think I've even scratched the surface of what there are. Again, it's not some massive AAA I've been playing this week, but to see pure unadulterated joy on a child's face playing a video game made me go, oh yeah, Simon, sometimes don't get too mad. It really doesn't matter. Well, until Kojima starts going on about Death Stranding again, which he also did this week, and now he's got to come out to trying to explain to us what the flipping game is already. I tell you, I'm done with that already. Being absolutely hypocrite what I said, I'm just done. I'm done.
Yeah, I know. I'm wondering if he sort of righted himself back into a corner. Like, he's like, I did know what this was. And he wakes up Sunday like, what is it again?
Rings Norman Reedus. What was it? Yeah. What is it about? I don't know what it's going to be. I'm sure it will find an audience because that's what Kojima gays do, and more power to him, right? Like, if you like what he does, awesome. I've got nothing against that, and I'd rather there was more releases that people enjoy than not. I guess sometimes the negative, well, it's not just video games, it's all, but sometimes the negativity does get too much for me. But when I actually try and look at it from a preview point of view and figure out if I want to play it, I'm like, I don't even know what it is. Like, and it's been around for 2 years now? That's a long time. It was
revealed back in 2016, I think.
So almost 3 years, pretty much. I think we're allowed to at least have an idea of what it's meant to be, and we absolutely do not.
Yeah.
Bonkers. Talking about games that probably get more information at E3, though, EA came out and said they are also no longer doing a press conference at E3 2019, which would be, I mean, Nintendo aren't there, we know that. Sony are out. Who else pulled out? EA, obviously. Did Bethesda pull out? Am I making that up?
No, I don't think they've said anything yet. They've been very quiet about everything.
Why do we know why EA pulled that? Is there a reason? Because I didn't see one when I looked.
I saw the announcement and it was like, we're just going to focus on the games that we have, the live streams, we're going to focus on developer interviews. So it's like all live streams and a live event, but I think they're just scaling down the announcements. So maybe they're just quiet on the announcements this year and they just thought, you know what, it's fine. Because I think if you host a press conference and come up short, because last year they didn't really say anything. They had Unraveled 2 and FIFA and the Champions League and stuff. And everyone was like, well, that was shit, wasn't it? Because I think people come to expect big announcements.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're not going to have one, you might as well just say, look, we're fine. We're not having one then.
So you don't think it's a financial thing or sort of a mirror of how people see E3 these days?
Yeah, it is sad to see Sony and, well, not so much EA, but it is sad to see Sony. Well, EA is a big name as well. It's sad to see both of them go. It's like not E3 without the big names.
That's the thing. I mean, we know Nintendo's not going to do it, and Nintendo kind of started this trend with the Directs, which I would still argue announces loads of stuff anyway. And if you're into it for announcements, I think the thing for me is just in 2019, you don't need to go to it. That was the thing before. The reason everybody got so excited about E3 is that you had to wait for the magazines to come out to see what the hell was on the cards, whereas now social media would just do that for you anyway. So you can kind of argue, well, why would I even announce something big at E3 in that sense? Because I could do that any time of year and probably get exactly the same response without getting lost in the shuffle. That's what people forget about E3, especially when you're there and trying to cover it. You come home and you've missed so many games getting announced. And you're like, how have I done this? I was in and around it, but that's how much noise there is. And it's not like small games either. Like there are big AAA games that get announced, and unless you're in the right place at the right time, you just don't find them. And I would say there's probably the same on the internet too. There's so much that comes out of it. So a small part of me is hoping is it's going to streamline stuff better. I mean, outside of this bubble, Rockstar, I know Rockstar are huge, but Rockstar are proven you don't need E3 to promote your stuff anymore. I think I like to have E3 because I think it's good to have a central conference every year that kind of carries the weight and the gravitas and the legacy and the history that it does. But I think it could go away tomorrow, and I don't think it would make a difference to me at all. It's more of a, I can't even think of the right word would be, but it's more of a, again, to me, it's more nostalgia at this point that we expect come July that we're going to get a bunch of new announcements. Whereas there's so many ways to do it now. I mean, we could hang up on this call and within 5 minutes, Ubisoft could have announced the new Assassin's Creed game. And it would just be like, people are like, yeah, of course you have. That's what you do. And it would still get match traction as if they did it in a big theatre in the middle of LA.
Yeah, I guess it's just nice because like E3 is a focal point for hype. So it's like, that there'll be eyes on you. Whereas like there's a bit of a scramble whenever you announce anything. Because I remember Red Dead Redemption, when they tweeted that red Rockstar logo out of the blue, everyone was sort of scrambling, oh god, oh shit. Whereas if that had been at E3, they're like, okay, cool, everyone's ready to
That's true.
To be hyped about this.
That's true. But maybe that's why they're not doing as you said, they're not doing the press conferences. They got nothing to announce. And they're like, we're just going to get backlash if we come out with something that we can't, is not a big enough now. Although I thought they had the new Star Wars game, Fallen Order. That, to me, you could do a whole conference around that and probably get enough people buzzing. I mean, that's not an announcement, but surely you could show details, first gameplay. Maybe they'll just do that with a trailer and save some cash.
Maybe they'll just do that with the streams. Maybe they'll host an entire stream dedicated to that rather than doing a little segment in a rather underwhelming whole press conference.
And that will probably be the future. I wonder if Microsoft's going to do anything. Maybe Microsoft now goes, screw it, let's announce the new Xbox.
I think Microsoft are going to put all their chips in now because they have the biggest chance to win E3 this year because Sony's not there. So it's sort of all to prove. It's sort of the worst thing for them, Sony put it out, because they can't. It's an unlosable war now.
That's true.
So they could still lose it.
No one's going to be able to do videos going, who won E3? It's ridiculous. There's only one person there. Well, we'll see. Coming up close, 4 months away? March, April, May? 3 months away. My word. How the hell is this happening? But we will see what happens. I imagine a small part of me thinks potentially Microsoft may talk about their new console. If they have that much room to breathe, and the Xbox One kind of seems done and dusted by this point, it would seem silly to release something on it. I think, again, you've got the scope to talk about it. Why the hell not? And just don't do what you did with the Xbox One announcement, which obviously didn't go so hot. Shenmue 3 also had a new trailer this week. I don't know whether you've seen it, Sam. I'm going to sound bad when I say this. I imagine that people that like Shenmue are over the moon. It actually looks like the original Shenmue. Like it couldn't look more like the original Shenmue if it tried. I don't.
Yeah, I saw the character models, and I know it's not a big budget title. It's sort of double A probably. It is an indie game, I guess, by definition, but it's not looking amazing in terms of character models and stuff. I mean, graphically, like it's got enough shine and polish, but like you remember when people used to have like shirtless people in games, and it was a texture.
Yeah,
that guy.
yeah.
I was just like, what is that? Is that just a texture buff guy?
The guy that comes out and it looks like some kind of like he's been built in a cartoon factory with a vest on.
Yeah, and the guy with the wide mouth, that short, stocky guy, the guy with the widest mouth in the world. I was just like. Oh, I mean, if I was going to pick out 2 minutes to show people less than 6 months before release, I probably would have chose those bits. But like I say, it does look like Shenmue is meant to look. So maybe that's great for fans. I'm not a fan, so I can't say.
Yeah, I'm not either. And this is why I would like, if you do actually like Shenmue, if you could get in touch and let me know. We're not ripping on it. I just don't get it, and I've never understood that franchise. And a lot of people have been waiting for the third game for a very, very long time. And I'm just intrigued as if whether this was what you were expecting, especially because it was crowdfunded. And something being crowdfunded will change somebody's perception because no matter how much money, let's say someone's putting $50. Obviously, $50 towards a video game is nothing, but $50 to the person that's paying it is loads of cash. And I think sometimes, when you've paid $50 for, which is a full price game, or $70, you know what I'm saying? And then you kind of get something that feels a bit like it rolled off a PS1. I'm being intrigued to see what the reaction is, but I also completely understand that people love Shenmue so much. Even if they did get a spiritual sequel, or even if it was basically a faux remake of the first, I don't actually think that many people would mind. I think people like you and I would rip into it, but I think fans would defend it till they die and would absolutely love it.
And also, you can't underestimate the weight of because we don't know those characters, or we don't know what all the story means. It might be like a really good trailer for people who know the series, but obviously we don't have anything but the visuals to go on.
Exactly, but I'm not going to be playing it, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
The Google controller was a thing and then wasn't a thing for all about a few hours. Who debunked it again, Sam? You had the name.
It was that Kotaku's Jason Schreier.
That's the right one, yeah. So it came out, everyone, I saw it, I didn't read much of the story at the time, but it came out, I didn't really know what the deal was, and then it was quickly debunked. But obviously the rumour is that Google's streaming service is going to be announced soon. And I'm 99% sure, I don't know if the timing of it is true, but Google will announce that at some point. Like, it's 100% something they want to get involved. Well, 99, I don't know for sure. But it's 99% something they want to get involved in, because why the hell wouldn't they? If you can start playing games through your browser, can you imagine? Can you imagine the uproar that would cause? Some people would love it, especially if we are getting to a point where internet speeds are getting strong enough to where we need them to be, and you can just log on to Chrome and play, I don't know, Red Dead, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, Battlefield. That's a game changer, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, ideally, do we need another controller? Probably not. I think this quest for the perfect controller has gone off in the wrong direction long ago, and now we've finally realised, you know what, these work, but hey, look, it may be really good. I never used it, and it was based on, the shape and the size that we're used to.
Yeah, it's the streaming service could be really big, and it's I think it's the best way for Google to go if they want to enter it, because we don't need another console. I don't think we need another console at all. We've got the 3, and they fill everyone's needs, and that's great. But it's just a case of delivering games to people via this service, and it'll be interesting because you don't know anything about it apart from it's a streaming service. I think it's called Yeti, and yeah, that'll be apparently announced next week.
I tell you. I get that people love consoles and they love buying expensive things, and it's cool having them connected to your giant TV. But people are spending more and more time in front of their TVs these days. So they're in front of their computers. And I just, if they can get that working where maybe it is all just within your browser or whatever, and you can literally just stream, again, the new Assassin's Creed, I think that is huge. I just do. It's between that and somebody finally, I guess this is the same thing really, but between that and somebody launching a version of a video game Netflix that this generation can jump on, that to me is the long-term future I want. And it's so easy. So many people are going, oh no, I don't want that, it sounds terrible. We all embraced it with music. And I understand music is different because obviously it's smaller files, but there was backlash to that at first. But every time a new medium comes along and pushes down that barrier, it's always going to feel a little bit easier when a film or something else does it too. And the last kind of big bastion with all of that is video games. And I can just see a huge upside. I think Xbox Game Pass has already proved that. just pay a fee and get these amazing. Something else amazing was added this week, and it was just like it was Just Cause 4. Like, it's only been out like 3 months.
Yeah,
and it's just these are these are the directions that I want video games to go in. So when I hear this stuff, especially someone like Google, like I get it, you can rag on Google's standard and practices till the cows come home. That's perfectly fine. But from a technological standpoint and from what they actually deliver standpoint, Google are putting out good stuff. And I don't think they're going to enter a market where they don't feel like they can add to that. And I think the quality would be so high that anybody that did give it a go would be so impressed that, yeah, it would start changing stuff.
And you forget it would be really good if they ever used it on the Switch as well, because the Switch is benefiting. I think they had the Japanese versions of Resi 7 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey streamed to the Switch. And imagine being able to stream any game you want and not be limited by the Switch's hardware. That would be really cool.
Exactly. Exactly. You extend an arm to other things as well. So, yeah, I like this. Anything that Google's going to do, I'm going to be interested in. Again, purely from a front-facing point of view. I'm not going to talk about the other stuff because I don't know enough about it. Division 2 is about to be a real thing. And if you want to download it on the PS4, the day one patch is anywhere from 88 gigabytes to 92 gigabytes. So, Sam, my simple question to you is, are these day one patches getting out of hand?
I don't know. I've got a 2 terabyte hard drive, so it's hard for me to... I'm not like... I'll move stuff around. But obviously, if you have a 500 gig, I think that's the standard PlayStation 4 one.
Yeah.
It's a bit ludicrous. And obviously, like if I was still at university where I had 0.5 megabits a second download, I'd be like, well, I hate my life. I'll play this in 4 days then. But yeah, it's just, what could you do? It's just games are getting bigger. It's hard to. It's like it's bad, but what could you do, right?
No, I think my thing is not necessarily the size of it in terms of your hard drive, but I understand people getting annoyed that you just want to be able to buy it. If you're my age especially, you remember buying a game and just being able to play it. And that is becoming less and less. You got to have some foreplanning. What you got to do is you got to make sure you get the game in the morning, and you go to work, and when you get back from work, you can play the game. Like, there's no more getting a cartridge out and just sticking it in the machine and going. And I can understand why that pisses someone off, especially as we are getting... It's like football, right? You had the first £1 million transfer and nobody can believe it. And now we're having 100 million. We will get to a 100 gig patch. If we have, maybe we already had it and I don't know. And then that will just become the norm. And then you have to go out there and buy, bigger and bigger hard drives. But if this is what we want, and this is the direction we are going to go, and this is how the internet works right now. And games are huge, and you just got to deal with it. It's true, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. I'm gonna read this as we go. So, the guy that makes the Dark Souls games and what's it called, Stupid Bloodborne, where's his name? Hidetaki Miyazaki, who obviously is the president of Dark Souls creator From Software, told the Telegraph that he has taken a keen interest in the battle royale genre and the prevalence of long-running live service games such as Destiny and Anthem, because obviously they are, as he says, they're dominating headlines in the industry right now. Now, obviously, that's a question where it's been put to him. He hasn't come out and he's mentioned it. But given who he is, Sam, what are you seeing here? You're seeing Dark Souls Battle Royale? You're seeing some kind of Dark Souls that exists in a persistent online world such as Anthem? Because let's face it, the original Dark Souls, in a way, has contributed to all these things. The world that could be, dead players could inhabit with writings and tricks and, tips and all that kind of stuff. There was an idea that it felt alive even when you weren't in it. And that kind of feels like a natural extension, although, of course, we know if that did happen, there would be a certain sect of people that would imagine this should be the hardest thing ever. I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah, Dark Souls wasn't known for its excellent PvP, you know what I mean? They just sort of showed up every now and again to fuck you up, and it was it's a bit janky or whatever. So it's hard to tell because they haven't got like a dedicated multiplayer title. I do not want a melee battle royale. I do not want any melee games.
No.
For Honor did not look like my cup of tea.
No.
I don't know. Maybe they just do something that's not Dark Souls at all. Like they did, what was it called? That Deracine, the VR game. And that's nothing like Dark Souls. It's its own thing. And you wouldn't know it's from Software until you looked at the credits. But they could do their own thing and it doesn't have to be Bloodborne or Dark Souls. It could be their own battle royale take. It's different. Offers something entirely new, and the games as a service thing would fit with the Dark Souls model, I think, quite well. I can imagine a Dark Souls sort of world that's a little bit like Anthem in the sense that it's just a big open world, like they love crafting anyway. And then you get loads of like weapons and cosmetic items and stuff. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very open statement. It's very much like take what you want from this.
Yeah.
Like it could be Dark Souls Battle Royale. It could be Anthem Bloodborne. Or
I think if you're going to do a battle royale game now, even with a license that people know, I'm not 100% sure I'd release it as a standalone game. I think I'd probably do it more like Call of Duty has done it, because I think now with the unexpected surprise of Apex, I don't know how else you tap into that. I really, really don't. Like, the fan base seems to be getting very split. Obviously, Apex Legends broke Twitch's Fortnite stream record this month as well, this week or whatever it was. It basically, it went across the numbers. It would be silly of me to say you can't do that, because I probably would have said the same thing about Apex Legends, but you can't continually hammer the same thing with it where the idea is the same. You do have to come up with new ideas. And obviously, with it being PvP, that takes away the control that someone like Mizuzaki has. Like, the whole reason people like Dark Souls and Bloodborne is because they're so hard. You can't control that in an online world. So yeah. I'd be intrigued to see what they do with it. I think Sekiro is going to be interesting, because obviously it's his first new IP. I mean, Bloodborne did very well, but Bloodborne looked to like Dark Souls. I haven't really seen much Sekiro, so I don't know if it apes the same style and stuff.
Yeah, I've not seen a lot of Sekiro, to be honest. So it's not really on my radar. But yeah, it seems to be generating a lot of buzz from the community. So
yeah, no, it does. I mean, a lot of people are excited about it. Obviously, it comes out in the 11th. So it comes out in 10 days. I mean, yeah, a week on Friday, essentially. Yeah. I know, right? Crazy. So we'll have to see. I mean, the name alone may not sell people on it, but I mean, the good thing is, well, Mizuzaki goes on to say that he thinks that the single-player format of video games is just as important as it was, and we have to ensure that the sanctity of that continues, which is good, because really, that's all I want these days. I don't need these persistent online world games. Not for me. Not for me at all. I'm happy to be brought single-player games until the cows come home. I'm still hoping for the corridor to come back. And when the corridor does come back, I'm going to be a very happy man. I miss the corridor.
Yeah, the corridors are the best. Wolfenstein, that's why Wolfenstein's great, because it's just you shoot Nazis until it tells you to stop shooting Nazis.
Exactly, more of that. And finally, Left Alive did come out on February 28th. We didn't talk about it. It was a stealth video game that clearly wanted to be Metal Gear Solid, and it didn't do very well at all. So we try and cover everything. Although it did do well in Famitsu. It got 31 out of 40, although saying that Famitsu is an interesting publication. We'll just see it like that. I'm trying to see if I can actually find... There we go. There's my Metacritic ratings, and it has got... It doesn't even have a score, because it just hasn't got enough reviews. Put it like this, it got 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 6 out of 10. So, don't play Left Alive, basically, unless you really want to play some kind of... I'm watching it now. Oh, I mean, it just is. I mean, fair play for trying to... There is an opening for that now, because Metal Gear is not around. But it looks like Metal Gear meets Deus Ex.
Yeah.
Good grief. Well, there you go. Don't play Left Alive. Right, so there was, as we said, there was a dearth in video games this news this week, so we did ask for some questions, and we'll just go through them now. Nice and easy. Start with Garth Jackson. I know what you're going to say to this, Sam. Are you looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima, and do you think it could be a samurai equivalent to Red Dead? Well, I know we've talked about. I am excited about it. It was whatever event it was at. I can't remember. It was the thing that I came away with going, "Yep, I want to play that 100%." In terms of being a samurai equivalent to Red Dead, I don't think it looks like that, does it? That's not the vibe I got from it at all. I think it'll be far more. I mean, most games are far more focused than Red Dead, but I think it'll be far more focused than Red Dead.
Yeah, I don't think it looks like Red Dead. It seems more narrative driven than that. Not that, no, that don't make sense. More linear, probably. Focused, I guess, is the right term.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not buzzed about it at all. I don't think it looks. There was like, so you think it's bad? It's like, no, I don't think it looks bad. And like, it just looks a bit plain to me. I've seen all of the elements before, I think, and yeah, I'm just not fussed, really.
Who's making it again? I can't remember who the hell it is.
It's not Naughty Dog, because I always say that. Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch, and they made that superhero game that I can never remember. Infamous. And what, they did something else as well, right?
And more important, Sly Raccoon.
Didn't they do something else?
I mean, maybe, but I'm only concerned about Sly Raccoon.
I'm looking at there's something, because this is my only thing. I think it looks great, and actually, Insomniac has proved that you can never judge a book by its cover, because I never really liked Insomniac games. Yeah. And I think Spider-Man's really well done. Not my favourite game ever, kind of falls apart towards the end, but it is good. You're right, they just made Sly Cooper and Infamous. I don't like any of those games.
Is that it?
Yeah. Well, they also made Rocket Robot on Wheels on the Nintendo 64.
Oh, of course.
But which is actually one of their most highly rated games, for the record. The lowest rating game is Infamous Festival of Blood. I'm not going to lie, I never played it. But yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the developer, not in a bad way. So that's the only thing that I kind of hold a little bit of reservations about. But I do think it looks really, really good, and I do want to play it. The problem is now we have no information. It doesn't even look like it's coming out this year. So, you know, I think the reason to like it now is that it's a samurai game, which is cool, and it has swords, which is cool, and is something that video games can use more of. But outside of that, it's kind of open. So we'll have to wait and see. Nick Palmer kind of ties into what we were talking about a minute ago. What do you think of the rumoured but definitely real Google console? Will it be a streaming box? Are we ready for that? Is this what I want to focus on? Can the market support a fourth major player, or is this destined to fail? I think it depends on what they want to do. If it's a streaming thing, especially if they do it through Chrome, then no. If they can sort of buddy up with all the big games and push them that way, I think they're in. And Google have the wonderful benefit of having surplus amounts of cash. You know, you can go on forever with Google. They'll never run out of money unless they do something absolutely catastrophic, and I don't think they will do this. If you told me that Google are going to release a box, I still don't think they would fail, again, because of the money situation, but I don't think it would have any kind of traction at all, because it's just not what people want anymore. I don't hear a clamoring. You remember there was a time when people wanted new consoles, and people wanted to see people come back into the fray, especially when it came to handhelds.
Yeah.
I don't get that. I don't hear that anymore at all. I think the conversation has switched to streaming, and it's switched to what kind of games we are getting. It's why Apple could make a console tomorrow, but they realise it's no point. They may as well stick to what they're doing on the phone. And I think that's what Google want. Google don't have... obviously, they have all the apps and stuff on their store, but it's not as relatable as it is on the iPhone. So I think they're just trying to take that one big step forward. And the best way to do that, again, is saying, look, Call of Duty is coming out on September the 1st, whatever. You can play it through your browser or something to that effect. I think not at first. I mean, it will raise everybody's eyebrows. But I think eventually, as it becomes commonplace, I think people will love that. I really, really, really do. Just to stress what I said earlier. And I think it could actually be something that sort of industry-wide people gravitate towards. And it changes things. That's I
don't think we've got a fourth major player in the sense that there's PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And I think if you extend that to mobile as well, then Google's just going to fit as an overarching thing, delivering stuff to each of them. Like, you could be like, oh, this game is Google compatible with streaming on your phone, or this game is Google compatible with streaming on your Microsoft device, or your PC and stuff. I don't think it will be its own thing. I think it would be madness to try and be like, yeah, we're our own thing and we're competing with all these guys, because everyone would be like, why? Why would you do this?
Yeah.
Because who would be like, yeah, I'll choose Google over Xbox and PS4 and Switch and all that? Yeah, that's not going to happen.
And also, at this point, if someone was going to release a console, I'd rather they look backwards. I'd rather some kind of retro box or something. That's what I want to play. I want to play old games. You know, I don't need to play new games because all my new games are being catered for. Like, what's not being made? We've got shooters, you've got RPGs, you've got RTSs, Sega's doing their thing. I don't think Google can come out with a box and say, oh, now we've got the best game. Unless you want to go and buy up exclusivity. But that's not going to happen because the publishers are going to suffer too much. I don't know what you can do. Maybe if you want to enter the handheld market now, you probably could, because the Switch has taken over from the 3DS. And while it is portable, that's not its sole reason. But even then, are you going to be successful? Has anyone actually been successful in that space other than Nintendo? No. That's why the PS Vista has now stopped being developed. No one was buying them.
And the PSP.
Hey, they're all gone. They're all gone. They're all dead. And the reason for that is because, Game Boy Advances right now still have, there's a want for them. Because people have, obviously, nostalgia, but people like them. I don't see that for the PSP. It was very of its time. And don't get me wrong, when the PSP came out, I was pumped. UMDs were a terrible decision. But I was pumped. It seemed like such a cool idea. But it just wasn't. I know some people love it.
It was ahead of its time in the sense that 3D gaming just wasn't good enough at that time.
No, it's true. And it felt like a cool piece of kit. Like, it felt like the best thing about it was, and Sony do this well, it cost you a lot of money, but it felt like you paid for it. Like, it was good. That's why it had that worth on it. But then as soon as you had it, there was nothing to do. And the loading times on the original one, my word, that was... I thought playing FIFA and that would be awesome. And then getting to play a game to about 20 minutes? Oh, nightmare.
Yeah.
Chris Bailey, what do you think of Shenmue 3? New gameplay video just went up. Well, Chris, the question should be, what do you think about it? Sam and I think it looks utter... No, it's not fair. It looks like Shenmue, and that ain't for me. Thomas A. Fowler, here we go. I'm a busy man. I work a 9 to 5, Dolly Parton. I write science fiction novels, very cool, and have 4 kids. My time to play games is very limited. So what's one game you've enjoyed recently you think I absolutely must play? Pressure. I mean, the problem with questions like this, Thomas, my man, is that it's all a matter of taste. The first one that popped to my brain is God of War. I think if you sat down and played that for 1 to 2 hours, if you had the time every night, when you got to the end of it, you'd feel quite proud of the time you spent with it. But if you think, if you think God of War's a pile of crap, then I've wasted my time. However, I would go with God of War. I think it's very accessible. It's an action-packed game. Everyone likes that, slashing your way to victory. So I will say God of War, which, by the way, is now over a year old. How did that happen?
Oh, don't even say that.
I know. Sam, your choice.
I'd say God of War is a good choice as well. It's not too demanding, but it's meaty enough. You know what I mean? You're not going to go back into it and be like, what's going on here? I can't remember.
I don't think you'd ever feel ripped off playing God of War either.
No,
like it doesn't have multiplayer, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, but it's got the production values that kind of make you feel. It just makes you feel good. Like it makes you again. It's much like the PSP. It feels like okay, I bought this, and it's not going to let me down. So yeah, I would play that. Mark Roy Day, Division 2, buy or not to buy? Well, I mean, I would say no, but it all depends. Again, I sat down and played the Division when it first came out because I love the idea of it, especially with friends. But it just didn't sink its claws into me at all, and I've read nothing about the Division 2 that seems to suggest otherwise. I say as I quickly look up the Division 2 to check.
Yeah, I think it's a very big question to unpack. Like, it depends what the asker of the question likes. If you don't like games as a service, I guess this is going to be very much that. So.
I think it's going to be very similar to the first one. So I would go and read up about that. I'm sure they will have eked out a lot of the kinks. Obviously, you've got to prepare yourself for the massive downloads. So I'm sure we'll continue because they will patch those games a lot. But if you really, really don't like the idea of the first one, I would say absolutely not. I'm not going to play it. I'm done with those games. I think Anthem is a good game, but the genre is not for me. It's just not, and that's probably because I'm getting old and games are passing me by, but that's still the truth.
Yeah. I think Division 2 looks alright though. I think I might get that, but after release. Because I don't have any allegiance to the franchise or anything. No,
and again, if you're going to play it with friends as well, it doesn't even matter. Just because it's like they're not really games people get rid of. They kind of sit there for a while, and you keep coming and going as and when you feel the need to. Yeah. And again, that's why games as a service, because they will keep providing you as time goes on. Tom A.W. Llewellyn. I appear to be in the middle of gaming no man's land, where I'm struggling to find anything exciting, interesting to play, whether it's a new release or a game on sale. Have you or Sam been in a similar situation where you struggle to be excited or interested in games gaming, and what helped you to get out of it? Love the podcast. Keep up the awesome content. I think everyone's been there, haven't they? You always get burned out on your passion eventually, especially, I mean, I don't know, I'll let you speak for yourself, Sam, but I know when I was heavily involved in games, I couldn't go home and play them at all because I was just, I can't. I need, as cool as it is to work in games, and I feel very lucky to have done so, your brain still eventually starts to classify it as a job. I think that's just the way that our chemical makeup is. So when I got home, I was like, I cannot play games. I need to do anything else just to sort of refresh my thoughts.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, you're lucky.
I'm games. All the time, all hours of the day.
But that's good. It should be that way. I did it too long.
I think the equivalent thing is like, for me, I'm just not excited about upcoming releases much anymore. Like, there's a few like Close to the Sun because it's got the BioShock references and Outer Worlds. But I mean, like, in a year that's packed with big names, I'm just not buzzed about any of them. When people are just like, oh, what are you looking forward to? I'm just like.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's this. And for someone who claims to like video games, it's weird to be like, oh, I'm not really buzzed about any of it.
No, I agree with that. I think the best thing to do is actually what Sam often does, and we talk about here, is go off the beaten path. Yeah. Don't worry about the AAA games that everybody's talking about, because don't forget, if you're looking on websites, most of them, apart from the odd few, will just be talking about the games that are doing numbers. Of course, I totally understand that. And that's exactly what they should do. But there are other games out there that you can find which will be quirky, which will be weird, and you'll probably get on with them loads. So I think you go on Steam or maybe even just type in, under the radar games and go and play these sort of quirky indie games that are coming out. You can finish in a few hours, but will sort of hit your video game creativity gland without having to be bombastic 10 to 12 hour, or probably more, 20 hour plus experiences that everybody's talking about. Because you could just be burnt out by the marketing as well. as we always joke, if you work within games, you can guarantee that at 5 p.m. or 9 a.m. every day, Ubisoft's sending you an email about something. And they do that because they know when people are going home and they know when people are waking up and are probably going to start looking at sites. So there are games out there, you just have to find them. Or go back to a game that you like. And it is quite quiet in video games right now, but there are still classics out there no one's ever even heard of. You just need to, again, put yourself out your comfort zone and they will come to you.
Yeah.
Michael Rigney, what do you make of the Life is Strange series? I think it takes what Telltale always tried to do and makes it better. You really feel like every decision you make changes the story. I never played them. On paper, I like the idea because I like, the evolution of point and click games, and that feels like one. Otherwise, I can't really comment on it. I know loads of people emotionally invest in it emotionally, so it must have done something right. Sam, did you play them? I know we had a conversation about them before.
Yeah, I played the first one.
I thought so. Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah, it's a little bit cringe. I think if you put teenagers in anything, it's always going to be a bit cringe. But yeah, it's a really good, solid story. It's one of those games where if you look at it, it's like, oh, that looks a bit rough, But like it does everything it wants to so well. You're like, okay, it looks a bit unpolished and it's clearly a bit AA, but it's fine. It's a lovely little story, and it does the time travel mechanics without being a bit too. I think I said this last week. Time traveling can get really muddled sometimes, but it's just good stuff. Really good, solid story. I've not played Before the Storm or any of 2 yet, but yeah.
Do you think is it better than Telltale? Does it do a better job than
not
they did?
Not played Telltale.
Have you not? Interesting. Because if anyone's done both, let me know. I would like to know what people think about that. Sam Calvert. There's so many things about Destiny and Destiny 2 that frustrate the living hell out of me. So why have I played them constantly since the release of Destiny? Why do I hate myself that much? I don't think you're alone there, Sam. I think those kind of games, again, people have started to call them, as we have done on this very thing, as, these games almost feel alive. And that's why, much like your real life where you need to, do certain things, you probably know that if you don't jump into Destiny here and there, you're going to be left behind or you're not going to get your loot. It works on a cycle. And sometimes when you fall into that cycle, you do get a bit, you feel... It's like if you get up and you on a Monday and you do your routine differently, you feel a bit off. I think it's the same thing with those games. I think it's probably just got you and you're never going to be able to get out of it.
What was the example given? Was it Destiny?
Destiny and Destiny 2, yeah. He hates himself.
Okay, yeah. Destiny, I get the loop, as in I see what it is. But there was a point, I don't know if I told you this, but me and my friend didn't realise we got to the end of the campaign because it was so short. And then we got to the end of it and saw the credits roll. Like, no way, we've been playing this game for 4 hours. This can't be the end of the campaign. And then we started, okay, cool, there's more stuff to do. And then we just sort of turned to each other and I was like, we're just doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
Again and again and again. And then we just sort of put it down and uninstalled it, really.
Would you advise him to do that as well? Or do you think he should just keep on
it depends.
going?
If you like the loop, then yeah, pretty cool. It's not a bad thing to like it. You know what I mean? It's like when people are like, oh, I've got this guilty pleasure, I can't stop watching Jersey Shore. And it's like, well, if it brings you joy, then do it. Do more of it. No, as long as it's not heroin, it's fine.
That's the thing. Yeah, you're not doing anything morally wrong. So you want to keep going. I don't understand it, Sam. Not going to lie. But you do you. And I think as well, deep down, you know that you're not going to be getting that loot. I think you want the loot. People love the loot. That's why people play Destiny. They love it.
Yeah, and people slag off Destiny, but it's got a lot of merit to it. It's got very good shooting. It's got a lot of personality to it. It's got a lot to be happy with. It's not like you're just shoveling into a piece of shit. It's a good game mechanically, and yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of.
What do you think is going to happen with Destiny 3 now that Bungie and Activision are split?
It's going to be less as a service, I think, a bit more story driven. I think it's going to have a lot of the hangovers in the sense that it's got to have that. If you're doing anything that's multiplayer, it's got to have an end game right now. That's just what the climate is. But maybe it will just be a little less Activision.
I mean, I think that's fair, right? I think you could kind of feel that as you played. So
yeah, you sort of know what I mean by a little less active.
Yes, I do, and that situation is going to be interesting all the same. And final one, Adam Pearson, my man, most overrated main character in gaming. I think Master Chief is unremarkable. I think that would be fair. I think that the reason the Halo games got over the way they did is because A, how much impact they had on console gaming, but B, it was the way they played as opposed to actually being Master Chief. So I would say that is correct. In terms of other people, I can't even think of anyone. I mean, I'm not a big Sonic fan, but I don't think he's unremarkable. He is, well, apart from that new one in the movie, which is gets stranger and stranger. I think a lot of the Assassin's Creed guys, I'm not massively fond on, like Ezio and Altair. They kind of they blended into one for me. I can't think of any other game characters there. Well, I like, that's why. Mario's brilliant. Kratos is brilliant. Marcus Phoenix is brilliant. Crash Bandicoot, he's overrated. There you go. He can go in that list. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't. I'm going to get controversy with this. I don't necessarily think. What's the Witcher called? Was he just called the Witcher?
Geralt.
That's it. I don't think Geralt is necessarily the most exciting guy in the world, but yeah, they would be my top ones.
Yeah, I think mine's Ethan from Heavy Rain.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Great shout.
I know nobody's like, yeah, Ethan. Nobody loves him. But like, honestly, this sounds really harsh, but his only personality trait is the fact that he's got a dead son. And he has nothing else about him. And that is not a personality. Like, all he does is he's like a walking cardboard and like just shouts Jason. True. He's more famous for shouting Jason.
It's true.
Than anything else.
100%. I would throw Gordon Freeman in there as well. I know that the whole point.
I love him. I don't get it.
But I think it's because you're supposed to be an everyman, right? So you can just attach your own personality onto him. But I need more than that in my games. I need someone that's a bit more flamboyant. So yeah, but there are a lot of people that have made their mark, and I don't really understand why. But hey, more power to you. I put Cloud in there too, but I don't want to get yelled at. But to me, a lot of Final Fantasy characters is people that walk around and shout. Yeah. And kind of get all whiny. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, you do you.
Yeah.
Right, cool. That's it. That is the week in gaming. As I said before, it's a quiet week in gaming, but hopefully that just means it really, really is. Hopefully that just means something big is coming around the corner. Put it like this: at the same time today, everybody just started talking about. There's a Harry Potter mobile game that's a bit like Pokemon Go, I think.
Wizards Unite.
That's right. And everyone said, it's not that much like Pokemon Go. When that happened, I was like, I gave up looking for stories. It's a quiet day. It's a quiet day. There's nothing we can do. Although people have said it's good, so I guess if you like, I should have probably mentioned it. I have. It's done. If you like Harry Potter, you can go check it out. We will be back next week. Of course we will. Keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, make sure you follow Sam on Twitter at Sam Bishop, 3 P's and a 1. I'm on there and Instagram at Simon316. All this is supported by patreon.com/Simon316. It's how I'm able to do these. So if you could donate, that would rock. Also on YouTube, youtube.com/The Middle Report Rules. And I think that's everything. Other than the fact that if you are listening on iTunes, give us a subscribe and give us 5 stars. Sam, thanks as always for your time.
My pleasure.
And enjoy your Monday. And everyone enjoy your Monday out there in the land of the internet.